Hey guys, I'm here to talk about what I did in terms of gaming this year. After about 5 years of having my 360 and playing mainly shooter games, it's like I look at my shelf of stuff. I'll probably take a picture of it and put it on here later for like it'll be like there. I find that I pretty much 85 to 90% of the games I have on my shelf for my 360 there are shooters. And then after realizing that and coming into this year of the last console generation, and I kind of found myself extremely bored with what shooters were doing and found myself bored of what Call of Duty was doing and pretty much a little annoyed at what gamers and people like were doing online in terms of interaction and such, except for like certain games that involved teamwork. Examples: Ghost Recon Future Soldier and the latest game from Naughty Dog, The Last of Us. I found myself really drained of doing shooters. I'm like, okay, I need to stray off from the path and do something different. And I started that this year. And the first game I wound up getting was SSX. You guys can probably already tell that I liked the game due to the fact I made a music video out of it. And just as a quick review of what the game is, it is an epic snowboarding racing game in which you can do pretty much the most incredible stunts that you can think of in terms of snowboarding. Examples of which is there's a helicopter that follows you down the mountainside that you're snowboarding down of, and if it gets low enough and you hit the right jump at the right time, you can do some sort of trick or maneuver onto the helicopter. So that wound up being a very epic moment when I found out that I could do that. I was like, holy shit, that was awesome! And then I'm like, okay, I got the racing game, a really fun racing game, and I'm like, if I would give that a score right now, I would give that an 8 out of 10, mainly due to the fact that the multiplayer was not that good, and I wish it was better. And if they do come out with another one, which I really hope they do, is that they make it a little bit better in terms of doing like a matchmaking lobby and such, and kind of like a character creation. And the other thing that kind of brought the score down was due to the World Tour storyline. And the main thing about the storyline is that the characters were animated, and it was always the same thing every once in a while. And sometimes the audio didn't match with what the characters were doing, and that's why it got that low. But overall, it was a fun game. I had a blast playing it. So that was my racing game, and then a little while after, as I went and gotten a bunch of achievements and did some deadly descents on the hardest way possible without using the proper equipment, and screw the air one. I'm telling you right now, screw the air one. I found myself going like, I need an RPG or something on the lines of that. Something that's more single player, campaign, interesting story. What I wound up getting, though, was I got another type of racing game. I wound up getting Trials Evolution, which is, by the way, a great-looking game with some very simple mechanics and a fun little multiplayer. And if you haven't played that yet, go ahead and play it. It's like if you want to see how fun it is, see what the Achievement Hunter guys are doing with that in their old Let's Plays and such. It's a fun game. And if I were to review that, I'd probably give it the same score, or just a slightly higher score than SSX with an 8.25 or 8.5. And not going to explain the reasoning for that because I didn't get into fully of the game. I just played a bit of the single player of going through each track, and then I went into the multiplayer, had fun, and played a couple of the modes, but I didn't do them all. And I didn't do the creation mode yet either. And then the RPG game that I wound up getting a week or so after that, and this is about in, I want to say May. Yeah, in May. I wound up getting Dust and Elysian Tale, which pretty sweet RPG hack and slash game, action adventure type of game. And well, it was just a fun game, even though it was just a simple hit button, use your little friend to shoot magic, and then you hit other button, and magic becomes ultimate magic. But it was a great game, great story. And it actually, I was surprised that it cursed with the type of style that it was, even though the cursing was very tiny. It's like I only heard it once. And if I remember, I only heard it once. And it was great. And the thing that makes this stand out more than any game that, well, more in a way in terms of the games that I tried to play to get away from shooters, was it made jokes at the fact that it was a game. It's like I played the demo to see if I would enjoy it, and then once I completed the demo, it went like this. There's a house, it's a door, you can't open the door, but it looks like it should be openable, and your little buddy Fidget is like, why don't you open the door? It's like, I can't. And she's like, why not? And he goes, it's the end of the demo, I can't go any further. And I just started laughing. That's not like the full quote, but that's pretty much the premise of what it was. So I'm like, oh my god, this game's hilarious. It has some interesting combat mechanics, and it seems like a ton of fun because of that. There's literally a quest to do an 1,000 hit combo in this game. There really is. And it's an achievement as well. And you think of that, and it seems impossible. But once I found the area in which I was able to do like almost a 600 hit combo, I'm like, I just found the spot to do this, which I'm not going to tell for you. If you're going to go play the game, go do it and see if you can find it. And if I would review this game, it was like, it's a fun game, interesting art style, very artistic art style. Damn, the game looks good. Battle mechanics, I'm kind of disappointed. It was just like 2 buttons and an additional button to do a spinning sword style called Dust Storm, and now it's like that's the only special move that you learn with the sword. I was kind of hoping for like another 2 moves to be added in, but it worked. And it was a fun game, and once I beat it, it made me wish there was more, and so far there hasn't been more since the game was released. I think in 2010, 2011, 2012. I don't remember it. I wasn't there for the release of the game, but it was a fun game. I definitely say if you're looking for an interesting game on the Xbox Live Arcade to play, and you want it to be an RPG or action adventure, go get Dust and Elysian Tail. It's fun. And I would give that game like a 9 or a 9.25 out of how fun it was and the interesting storyline and such. Now, on to what I wound up doing in the middle of the year. Is I wound up, even though I was trying to get away from shooters, I tried getting myself ready for a shooter that was going to be coming out in the fall that I wanted to do because of how Team Incorporated it is. And that was, I went and got Battlefield 3 Premium Edition with all the maps and such. And then I played that with some friends. I found, because if you didn't watch my full E3 reaction of why I was interested in Battlefield 4, in Battlefield Bad Company 2, I had a moment online where I'm like, I didn't play the campaign because I didn't have the disc, where I was borrowing it from a friend for the multiplayer to understand what the multiplayer was all about, because I was somewhat interested. And because of that, I wound up playing the multiplayer. And no, wait, that's completely wrong. That's the opposite way. When I played Battlefield 3 campaign, I actually had the disc, and it's the 1 disc in Battlefield Bad Company 2. My bad. And I actually played a bit of the campaign for Battlefield Bad Company 2. I didn't get into tanks during that part of the campaign because I only play like a little bit, and then I go see what the multiplayer is like, and then I go back and forth as much as I want, which I probably need to change that way of thinking, but that's just so I don't find myself behind with my friends when they complete the game real quick and then go into multiplayer and do that the entire time. But what wound up happening in Battlefield Bad Company 2 was the fact I was in a tank. I'm like, how do I fire the main cannon? And someone went, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, this is my first time playing the multiplayer. He was like, oh. And then he told me the button to do so. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, if I was anywhere else, I would be getting trolled like no tomorrow. No tomorrow. It's like, you guys, if you guys are seeing this and you understand how Call of Duty, someone from Call of Duty would have reacted, oh boy, I would have had it. And so I played Battlefield 3, I had fun, it was interesting. The one thing I'm hoping that doesn't follow from Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4's multiplayer is people not running their own servers. I'd rather not see that on a console. That I can understand that happening on the PC side of things because that's probably been happening for a good while. But in terms of a console, I'd rather not see people have consoles run their own servers on consoles. It's just not fun and unneeded kicking or whatever. That's my only gripe with Battlefield 4. And that being said, I got the. And then what wound up happening at the end of the summer in this year. Once the end of the summer came around, The Last of Us was already out, and then a couple of RPG games that I was really excited about. Example, Tales of Xillia and Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix. I was like, I started looking at what Xbox 360 had to offer for its pre-launch of Xbox One lineup. I was like, it has nothing. It had nothing. And I'm like, what do I do for gaming to get myself, have me doing something for the next 6 months? And I was like, I was annoyed. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? These awesome games on the other console, but I don't have the money to do so. So I'm like, what do I do? Well, I found a way, and I wound up getting a PlayStation 3 for about $125. Had to get the controller I got wound up being crap, so I had to get a different one. And then when I got the used controller, I had to get a charge cable for it, and I wound up getting BioShock, which I haven't yet played, but I am interested in playing it. I got the PlayStation 3 in July. Yeah, in July. And then I'm like, I immediately got The Last of Us, and The Last of Us, well, as you guys should probably already know, if you're watching this and you know about The Last of Us, it is freaking amazing. And so is the multiplayer, even though there are certain things I'm like, this shouldn't be what's happening when this event occurs. Which, my guess is they didn't try to make multiplayer as perfect as possible. It was like something like, hey, let's put this in, let's throw a spin on what the multiplayer is like, and it was a good spin. Reason? It really enforced the fact that the team needs to work together. If you're off on your own and you're not being smart about what you're doing while you're on your own, you're going to get destroyed because the other team will most likely have about 3 people around them. And if they didn't go to the path that your teammates took, they're heading for you, and you're going to need to backtrack real fast. And then there was the campaign. The campaign was awesome. There's some funny moments I wish I could have recorded, but I didn't have the cords at the time to do so. And then I wound up, and then as it previously stated, the RPGs, because this year I was trying to get away from the shooters, and The Last of Us isn't technically a shooter, it's more of a lines of a survival game, and you need to use your gun as limited as possible, except for certain situations. So I wound up playing Tales of Xillia. I got that, pre-ordered Tales of Xillia, and I wound up pre-ordering Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix because I love Kingdom Hearts and I want to support them on this endeavor to hopefully get Kingdom Hearts 3 sooner. Tales of Xillia is one hell of a game in terms of an JRPG. The story keeps you interested through the entirety of the game. Reason, this is something new that I've seen, and I want other RPGs to probably implement this if they have parties instead of just a single player element, in which you're just a player, your character, and you're going around meeting people. But what it wound up implementing is, as you went through the world of this game, every once in a while there would be a little icon on the bottom left of the screen that would pop up for you to press, and it would start up a little bit of a conversation or dialogue about something random, a certain issue that recently happened that affects one of your characters or one of the characters in your party, or about a player's certain fighting style. And oh my god, some of them are really funny. It's so funny. I want you guys to go play this game and listen to each and every one, because only one of them was not interesting, and I've listened to about 90 of them. And so, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix, it's Kingdom Hearts. I love Kingdom Hearts. There's nothing much for me to say about that other than Kingdom Hearts. The first game was really interesting, and it reminded me how complex of a game it was, because it had such a search around and figure out what thing does what in terms of puzzle solving. There was actually a bit of puzzle solving to it. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 did not wound up not having that, and it reminded me of, like, I hope they have this bit of puzzle solving in the next game. So it was a nice little throwback to make me go, like, I hope they do this. I hope they do it similarly in terms of their level design and secrets as Kingdom Hearts 1 was. And now, for what I'm probably going to be doing in this final year, I'm probably going to go back to some shooters. After all, I said for Battlefield 3, I'm getting ready for Battlefield 4. Because it seems like a very interesting game, and it, again, seems to be more team-oriented. So, and the console of choice for this year for me was PlayStation 4. Possibly next year, if I can somehow convince my brother to team up with me to get the Xbox One, we'll get Titanfall for that game, for that system, I mean. But I am going to get Titanfall for the 360 when it comes out next year. It's just I want the Xbox One for sure, so I can play Halo 5 or whatever they're going to call it. Because it wasn't called Halo 5 back at E3. So, again, if you like what I wound up doing, you're kind of agreeing with me that shooters gotten way too saturated in terms of the market, and to the point at which it got a little boring except for certain ones. Leave a like, maybe a favorite, so you can go back to this and go like, hey, this guy talked about this, do you guys agree? And as always, this is a work in progress. Let me know how I sound, how my opinions are, and such. Again, I did like and if you like my little short reviews, maybe I'll do more of those. So, again, lastly, subscribe for more.